Which actor seems to only play themselves? Jason Statham. Flashy, angry British dude who drives cars and fights blokes. Have you seen Spy? It's hilarious how he even makes fun of himself. I watched the woman I love get tossed from a plane and hit by another plane midair. I drove a car off a freeway on top of a train while it was on fire. Not the car, I was on fire. Tracy Morgan is Tracy Morgan in every single movie he's in. I thought he was great in Fat Bitch and I loved his foray into music with Werewolf Bar Mitzvah. What about his Thomas Jefferson movie? This is for you, Don Geiss. Most of the time I struggle to tell the difference between Ryan Reynolds and Deadpool and a few more of his movie roles. Russell Brand. You sound like you're from London. Basically the entire cast of Fast and Furious. Vin Diesel doesn't act well in FF because he doesn't have to. Dom's character is as bland as it gets. You don't have to act when you've got family. Have you seen his range as Groot though? Dude shrunk himself down to a twig, to a mammoth branch nest and back down to a twig again. Dude has spectacular range. John Wayne. Same guy in every ducking movie. John Wayne only had 2 facial expressions, with and without a hat. Michelle Rodriguez has never played anything other than tough girl Michelle Rodriguez. I can't remember where I heard this. I've heard her referred to as Angry Tank Top. Angry, sweaty tank top. For much of the 2000s, Christopher Walken seems to just turn up in comedies, does his weird thing that only he does, and then disappear. You could say it was a Walken part. Walken is a professional dancer, and often incorporates dance numbers in his films. Even if they don't always make sense. Fatboy Slim, weapon of choice. I think Will Smith acts like a character, as Will Smith would have done it. Don't get me wrong, Hess not bad, but when he was the genie, all I could think of is how the on-screen character from Wild Wild West, Bad Boys, and I, Robot would pretend to be the genie. Will Smith acts like a guy doing a Will Smith impersonation in that role, and he probably needs an acting coach to do that well. Will Smith has reached the second level of acting like the character is acting like you. Kevin Hart. You're throwing too many big words at me, and because I don't understand them I'm gonna take them as disrespect. Oh, 100% Hugh Grant in rom-coms. He even admitted it himself in an interview about his most iconic roles. Edit, the interview I'm referring to smilem.youtube.com edit.1. Wow, never had so many updates before, thanks everyone. I agree Hess totally himself in every rom-coms, but he has seriously impressed me in other genres, Paddington 2, Florence Foster Jenkins, A Very British Scandal. He also voiced the main character in the animated movie Pirates. That movie was unexpectedly brilliant and I had no idea it was him. He's also great in The Gentleman. Jeff Goldblum, Dwayne Johnson, Jackie Chan, Jason Statham. Jeff Goldblum plays Jeff Goldblum now, but he did actually act at one point. He was pretty menacing as a rapist in Death Wish and had more range in his early roles. He does it now. BC The world wants to see Jeff Goldblum as Jeff Goldblum, versus him just not being a good actor. He worked hard to be a good actor and gain the popularity, and now he gets to relax and be himself. I heard Bill Burr talking about how he heard Travolta going on about how his characters walked. How Vinnie Barbarino walked this way and Vincent Vega walked that way. Burr said every character I've ever played walks like me. He was good in Breaking Bad, and I love him in Mondo, but he may not have much range. To be fair, he's a stand-up who gets acting roles tossed his way sometimes. You don't cast Bill Burr because you want him to play a character. You cast Bill Burr because you want a character like Bill Burr. Dwayne Johnson. He played Danny DeVito in Jumanji 23, that was pretty neat. Body swap bits are always great and really showcase an actor's talents. Helena Bonham Carter in The Deathly Hallows was great. When Hermione used Polyjuice to become Bellatrix. So Helena was dressed as her usual Bellatrix but had to play it like she was Hermione playing Bellatrix. But I love it in TV shows with well-established characters. Stargate SG-1 had one of my favorite body swap episodes. Emma Watson did that scene first, so HBC would know how to play it, since, like you said, it was Hermione in the shape of Bellatrix. Pretty clever way to do it. Not to mention that they still needed Hermione's voice, so having that recorded in the same environments, so the same acoustics and all, is probably also a big bonus. Hector. Dude's running 3 Honda Civics with spoon engines. Seth Rogen edit, while there are a few roles where he wasn't playing himself, pretty much after 40-year-old virgin, he was always playing that stoner slacker niche. Jobs is an exception. I'm hearing the laugh in my head. Ooh hoo 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 hoo. For his whole career, Vinnie Jones has always played a tough British mobster guy. This year on Law Order, Organized Crime, he's been able to show his true dynamic range by playing a tough Albanian mobster guy. Ryan Reynolds. Don't get me wrong, I like his work in stuff like Van Wilder, Deadpool and Free Guy. Heck, Buried has him acting completely against type. But any Ryan Reynolds movie outside of those mentions has his character be a copy and paste of each other. Why has Michael Cera not been mentioned yet? I read that Cera is a really intense method actor, who insists on painstakingly constructing his characters through repetition and slow reading, yet still ends up playing the same person every time. Hess definitely the subject of heavy typecasting. He just has one of those looks. It's a shame because I've also heard that he has some serious acting chops. Harrison Ford always seems to play a grumpy old man nowadays. He started off as a grumpy young man, though. Don't get cocky, kid. Rebel Wilson. April Ludgate Aubrey Plaza. Plaza's journey to parks and recreation began with casting director Allison Jones. Jones is well respected in the industry, having also cast huge shows like The Office. After meeting Plaza, Jones immediately contacted the show's creator Mike Schur and practically demanded he meet with the young actress. She told him that Plaza was the weirdest person that she'd ever met and that she was sending her his way. Source: they basically wrote the part for her to just be herself on camera. Mark Wahlberg. I watched an older movie, I think it was called The Gambler, and all I could see was the same Mark Wahlberg from other guys. Steven Seagal. He always plays an idealized version of himself named Gino, for some reason. Yeah, they're all just his daydreams. He seems like a creepy, narcissistic, fat ass who thinks he's actually his movie characters. It's important that you know about the time he claimed to be immune to chokeholds, had someone try one out on him to prove it, and was promptly choked unconscious and then shit in his pants. Reminds me of when he made an AMA on Reddit and someone brought this up, he straight up ran away and never replied to anyone. Oh my god, where can I find this? Danny Trejo. Danny Trejo has a clause in his acting contracts that if he plays a bad guy his character has to die. I think it's beyond that, even. He wants the bad guy characters to have a really brutal death. Something about wanting to teach kids that crime doesn't pay. Jason Mantzoukas. Ah yes, screaming, crazy, sometimes angry, looks like he did too much coke guy. Will Ferrell in most of his movies, just a giant man-child. Edit, it has been brought to my attention that he has some movies I haven't seen where he plays other types of characters. How didn't anyone say Chuck Norris yet? Because Chuck Norris was never an actor. Jennifer Aniston. Sid James. Ben Affleck. James Franco. Every time I see him all I can think of is wow, that's James Franco. I've never been able to actually think of his character as playing. Edit, like he definitely puts in work to act, but he will only and forever be James Franco in movies. Kristen Stewart edit, shit, were we doing men only? Then Amy Schumer. Jim Carrey.